My name is Chloe, and I'm about to confess a secret that burned through my quiet life like wildfire. It happened in the summer of 1978 in our sleepy Portland suburb, where the days were warm and the nights pulsed with possibility. At 38, I thought I knew who I was: a wife, a banker, a woman who played by the rules. But one glance from the man next door changed everything, awakening a desire I couldn't control. Michael, my husband, was always gone. Another engineering project, another week away. Our ranch-style house, with its shag carpet and avocado green kitchen, felt like a cage without him. That July, the air was thick with heat, and I was restless, craving something I couldn't name. One evening, I retreated to our bedroom, the heart of my solitude. The room was a retro haven: velvet curtains, a low bed with satin sheets, a lava lamp casting a warm amber glow. I dimmed the lights, the hum of the AM/FM radio filling the silence with soft rock. My silk nightgown clung to my skin as I sat on the bed, my fingers brushing the smooth fabric. I reached for my hidden indulgence, a private magazine stashed under the mattress, its pages filled with images that stirred a forbidden thrill. The pictures ignited a spark, my breath quickening as I let myself surrender. My skin flushed, a slow heat spreading through me, my body alive with a need I'd buried for years. The world faded, leaving only the rhythm of my heartbeat, the rustle of pages, the whisper of satin against my thighs. I was lost in the moment, my fingers trembling, my lips parting with a soft sigh. I didn't hear the knock at the front door. I didn't know he was there until I heard his voice. "Chloe? You home?" It was James, our new neighbor, his voice low and warm, cutting through my haze. I froze, the magazine slipping from my hands, my heart pounding as I scrambled to pull the nightgown tighter. I rushed to the door, my face burning, praying he hadn't seen anything. James stood on the porch, his dark hair tousled, his brown eyes catching the porch light. At 30, he was a vision, lean, with a bohemian charm, wearing a loose linen shirt and faded jeans. "Sorry to bother you," he said, his smile easy but with a hint of something deeper. "My sink's acting up. Got a wrench I could borrow?" I nodded, my voice shaky. "Sure, come in." As he followed me inside, his gaze lingered, tracing the curve of my silhouette in the thin nightgown. My skin prickled, a mix of shame and something dangerous. Had he seen me through the window? And why did the thought make my pulse race? I avoided James for the next day, but the memory of his eyes haunted me. The house felt smaller, every creak a reminder of his nearness. Michael was due back in a week, but his absence only deepened my restlessness. The next afternoon, I was in the backyard tending to my roses when James appeared at the fence. "Chloe, you're a lifesaver with that wrench," he said, his voice smooth, his eyes locking onto mine. "Mind if I repay the favor? I'm grilling tonight. Join me?" I hesitated, my sundress fluttering in the breeze, but his smile was disarming. "Sure," I said, ignoring the warning in my gut. That evening, I slipped into a flowy maxi dress, its deep burgundy hue clinging to my curves, my hair cascading in soft waves. The backyard was alive with the scent of charcoal and the hum of cicadas, James's radio playing Fleetwood Mac. We sat at his patio table, the air warm and intimate. His eyes never left me, each glance a spark that set my nerves alight. "You look incredible tonight," he said, his voice low, a hint of hunger in his tone. "Does Michael know how lucky he is?" I blushed, my fingers tightening around my glass. "He's busy," I said, my voice faltering. Too busy for you? James leaned closer, his arm brushing mine, the contact sending a shiver through me. That's a crime, Chloe. The air crackled, his words a temptation I couldn't ignore. I changed the subject, but his presence was a magnet, pulling me closer with every word. The next day, my kitchen sink sprang a leak, water pooling on the linoleum. I called James, my voice trembling as I asked for help. He arrived in minutes, his tool belt slung low on his hips, his shirt unbuttoned just enough to reveal a hint of tanned skin. Looks like a quick fix, he said, kneeling under the sink, his voice muffled but warm. I stood nearby, my floral blouse and high-waisted jeans feeling too tight under his proximity. The kitchen was small, the air heavy with the scent of his cologne, sandalwood and musk. As he worked, his arm brushed my leg, a fleeting touch that set my skin on fire. I stepped back, my breath catching, but he looked up, his eyes dark and knowing. You okay, Chloe? He asked, his voice a low growl that sent a shiver down my spine. I'm fine, I lied, my cheeks flushing. He stood, his body inches from mine, the heat of him radiating through the thin space between us. His hand grazed my waist, steadying me, but the touch lingered, his fingers pressing gently against my hip. My heart pounded, my body leaning into him despite my better judgment. You're shaking, he murmured, his breath warm against my ear, his lips so close I could feel their heat. Am I making you nervous? I swallowed, my voice barely a whisper. You know you are. His eyes burned into mine, a silent promise in their depths. For a moment, I thought he might kiss me, that I might let him. But then the phone rang, shattering the spell. It was Michael, checking in. I stepped back, my hands trembling, and answered, my voice unsteady as James watched, his gaze never wavering. The tension between us grew, a live wire sparking with every glance. James found excuses to stop by, a borrowed cup of sugar, a question about the neighborhood. Each visit left me breathless, my body aching for something I couldn't name. One evening, I was in the living room, the windows open to the warm night air. I wore a silk camisole and flared pants, my hair loose, the radio playing a sultry Stevie Nicks song. James knocked, his silhouette framed in the doorway. Mind if I join you? He asked, his voice low, his eyes tracing the lines of my body. I should have said no, but I didn't. Come in, I said, my voice soft. He sat on the couch, too close, his thigh grazing mine. The air was thick, charged with a need we couldn't ignore. Chloe, he said, his voice rough. I can't stop thinking about you. The way you move, the way you look at me, it's driving me crazy. My breath caught, his words igniting a fire inside me. James, we can't, I whispered, but my body leaned toward him, betraying me. Why not? He challenged, his hand reaching for mine, his fingers intertwining with mine. You feel it too, don't you? This need. I nodded, unable to lie. His eyes darkened, and he pulled me closer, his lips crashing into mine. The kiss was hungry, desperate, a release of everything we'd held back. His hands slid to my waist, pulling me against him, his fingers tracing the curve of my back. I clutched his shirt, my nails digging into his skin, a soft moan escaping as his lips moved to my neck, his breath hot and teasing. You're so beautiful, he murmured against my skin, his voice a low growl. I want you, Chloe. All of you. My body arched into him, my hands roaming his chest, feeling the heat of him through his shirt. The world faded, leaving only the taste of him, the feel of him, the promise of something forbidden. But guilt clawed at me, and I pulled away, gasping. "We have to stop," I said, my voice trembling. "Why?" he asked, his eyes burning with need. "Tell me you don't want this." "I do," I admitted, tears welling in my eyes. "But it's wrong." The next night, I couldn't sleep, my body still humming from James's touch. I stepped into the backyard, the moon casting a silver glow over the grass. James was there, leaning against the fence, his eyes finding mine in the dark. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked, his voice soft but laced with desire. I shook my head, my silk robe slipping slightly, revealing the curve of my shoulder. He stepped closer, the air between us electric. "Chloe," he said, his voice raw, "you're killing me. Every time I see you, I want you more." My heart raced, his words a siren call. "James, we shouldn't," I whispered, but my body moved toward him, drawn by an invisible thread. He reached for me, his hand cupping my face, his thumb brushing my lips. "Tell me to stop," he said, his voice a plea, his eyes searching mine. I couldn't. His lips found mine, the kiss deep and consuming, like a storm we couldn't escape. His hands roamed my body, one sliding to the small of my back, the other tangling in my hair. He pressed me against the fence, the wood cool against my skin, his body warm and hard against mine. My fingers dug into his shoulders, a soft moan escaping as his lips trailed along my collarbone, each kiss a spark that set me ablaze. "I've never wanted anyone like this," he whispered, his breath hot against my ear. "You're in my blood, Chloe." Ah. My body melted into him, my hands sliding under his shirt, feeling the taut muscles of his back. We were teetering on the edge, the line between right and wrong blurring with every touch. But then I heard a gasp. Laura, my best friend, standing at her back door, her eyes wide with shock. "Chloe, what are you doing?" she hissed, her voice cutting through the night. We sprang apart, my heart pounding, my lips tingling from his kiss. James stepped back, his eyes still burning, but Laura's presence was a cold splash of reality. "This isn't over," he murmured before slipping away into the dark. Laura confronted me the next morning at her house, her kitchen bright with morning light. "Chloe, he's your neighbor," she said, her voice sharp. "Michael's your husband. This could ruin everything." "I know," I said, my voice breaking. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." "Then end it," she said firmly. "Before Michael finds out. I won't tell him, but you need to fix this." I nodded, but the thought of losing James's touch, his words, tore at me. That afternoon, I saw James in his driveway, washing his car. His shirt clung to his skin, his eyes finding mine. "Chloe," he called, his voice low. "We need to talk." I shook my head, my heart aching. "We can't, James. It's over." His jaw tightened, but he nodded. "If that's what you want," he said, but his eyes said he didn't believe me. Michael returned that evening, his presence a reminder of the life I'd risked. He was distant, as always, but his eyes lingered on me, sensing something off. "You okay, Chloe?" he asked, his tone sharp. "I'm fine," I lied, my stomach twisting. But the guilt was eating me alive. I avoided James, but his house was a constant reminder, just across the fence. Late at night, I'd see his light on, and my body would ache with longing. I texted him once, my fingers trembling. "I can't do this." He replied, "I'll wait for you, Chloe. Always." The words were a temptation, a promise I couldn't accept. But the pull was too strong, and I found myself at his door the next night, my silk dress clinging to my curves, my heart pounding. "Chloe," he said, pulling me inside, his voice rough with need. "You came." "I shouldn't be here," I whispered, but my body pressed against his, my lips finding his. The kiss was desperate, a collision of everything we'd held back. His hands gripped my hips, pulling me closer, his fingers digging into my skin. My hands roamed his chest, feeling the heat of him, a soft moan escaping as his lips moved to my neck. "You're mine tonight," he murmured, his voice a low growl that sent shivers through me. "No one else matters." But then the doorbell rang, sharp and jarring. My heart stopped. It was Laura, her face grim. "Chloe, Michael's home," she said, her voice urgent. "He's looking for you." I pulled away from James, my lips swollen, my body trembling. "I have to go," I whispered, my voice breaking. He reached for me, but I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. This was a mistake. I ran home, my heart pounding, my dress disheveled. Michael was in the living room, his eyes narrowing as he saw me. "Where were you?" he demanded, his voice low and suspicious. I was at Laura's," I lied, my voice shaking. But Laura followed me inside, her expression hard. "Chloe, tell him the truth," she said, her voice firm. "He deserves to know." My blood ran cold. Michael's face darkened, his hands clenching into fists. "Know what?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. I broke, tears streaming down my face. "I'm so sorry, Michael," I choked out. I got too close to James, our neighbor. It was a mistake, and it's over. I swear." Michael's face crumpled, a mix of anger and pain. "How could you?" he whispered, his voice breaking. "After everything we've built?" Laura stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. "She's telling you now because she wants to fix it, Michael. But you both need to decide what's next." James appeared at the door, his eyes searching mine, but I turned away, my heart tearing in two. "Please, James," I said, my voice barely audible. "Go." He nodded, his shoulders slumping, and left without a word. Michael looked at me, his eyes filled with hurt. "I need time, Chloe," he said, his voice hollow. "I don't know if I can trust you again." He walked upstairs, leaving me with Laura, who squeezed my hand. "You did the right thing," she said, but her words felt empty. I sank onto the couch, my body trembling, the fire that had consumed me now a pile of ashes. I'd chased a desire that promised everything and delivered nothing but pain. The house was quiet, the radio silent, a reminder of the life I'd nearly lost. And as I sat there, alone, I vowed to rebuild what I'd broken, no matter how long it took. Some flames are too dangerous to touch, and I'd learned that the hard way.